The top stories. The central bank says no formal IMF financial aid program is in the works. So Roy Trotman is stepping down from the BWU. And Knighthoods were formally conferred on 2 Barbadians this morning. Welcome to Nation News for Wednesday, January the 15th, 2014. I'm Bertram Niles.
You want your loved ones around to celebrate, especially those living far. And with Digicel Top-Up, Dad can help you bring life to the party and be part of the celebration. Ask him to send you Digicel Minutes. Receive free instant additional credit. Stay connected here and there. Ask your family abroad to send Digicel Minutes today.
The central bank governor has again said there are no plans for a loan deal with the IMF, though he confirmed that the government is working closely with the financial body on tax and public sector reform. The news conference by Delisle Worrell was a follow-up to the bank's forecast yesterday that the Barbados economy will remain stagnant this year. Geraldine Edward has more about what the governor had to say.
Central Bank Governor Dr. Delisle Worrell is well aware that the fiscal measures imposed on Barbadians have dampened demand for goods and services. But the island's lead economist said Barbados has an expenditure and foreign exchange problem that required policymakers to restrict Barbadians' demand for imported products.
Barbadians understand what are the initiatives that will accelerate the growth of our economy. Our focus is on investment, higher productivity, excellence in service, improvements in the quality of our products and services, developing new products and services, and exploring new markets.
Speaking today during one of his regularly scheduled press conferences, the governor addressed the controversial question of just how much the International Monetary Fund was involved in the direction of the Barbados economy. Dr. Worrell revealed that the current administration was actually working very closely with the Washington-based institution. However, he made it clear that at this stage, there was no need to enter a program that would involve financial support from the IMF.
We are actually working closely with the IMF. We don't need an agreement which would involve borrowing from the IMF at the moment, because we have reserves which are more than adequate for our needs. But at the same time, we value the technical assistance and advice that we get from the IMF.
Please see tomorrow's Daily Nation newspaper for a full report on what the governor had to say about the economy.
The Barbados Workers' Union looks set to have its first woman general secretary after Sir Roy Trotman confirmed today that he would be retiring in August after almost 25 years in the post. Sir Roy told reporters he'd been talking to the union leadership about his departure since 2009 when he reached the age of 65, but had been asked to stay on because of factors including the troubled state of the economy. He's expected to be replaced at the next annual conference by one of his deputies, 37-year-old Tony Moore, who would become the first woman to hold the post of General Secretary.
First female likely General Secretary is secondary, really. I think that the issue is not whether one is a woman or a man, whether one is young or old, but whether one is committed to the cause of workers and advancing that cause of workers.
The recipients of Independence Day National Honours have been formally presented with their awards, as we hear from Natasha Beckles.
Governor General Sir Elliot Belgrave today knighted Sir Trevor Carmichael and Sir Trevor Hassel. The 2 Barbadians who were honored in the 2013 Independence Honours were the first to receive their insignia during a lengthy national honours and awards ceremony at Government House earlier today. Sir Trevor was recognized for his outstanding contribution to the financial services sector, law, and his several exceptional philanthropic and voluntary activities, while Sir Trevor Hassel's award was for his significant contribution to the medical profession.
CXC is making past exam papers available online. The Barbados-based Exam Council has just signed a contract for the publication and distribution of learning support material for the CXCs and the advanced exam known as CAPE. The CXC's Registrar and CEO Knighthoods Jules says it is a much needed initiative, but he urged education ministries and parents to take caution with some of the teaching methods they use for children.
Pay particular attention to what is happening by way of learning support material being put out there, particularly by private sources. Because what we see happening in the region today is a proliferation of products that are all focused on drill for examination approaches. And that, I want to emphasize, runs totally counter to what we are trying to do in CXC. We cannot produce problem solvers and critical thinkers by drill methodology.
The local insurance industry appears to be in uproar over what is said to be a privacy breach involving clients whose policies are nearing the renewal date. A published full-page press advertisement from ICBL claims that an unidentified insurance provider is sending a price guarantee offer to people whose contracts are expiring. ICBL said the General Insurance Association had made representation on the matter to the Financial Services Commission, the industry regulator. The company insisted that it did not share its clients' information with anyone and expressed grave concern at the apparent breach of privacy. Large-scale manufacturers are not utilizing enough local produce, according to CEO of the Barbados Agricultural Society, James Paul. It's a familiar message from Mr. Paul, who made his latest expression of disappointment at an AgroFest food vendors workshop. Mr. Paul said that Barbadians needed to consume more fresh foods as well.
What they have been talking about over the years of the necessity for Barbadians to eat foods that are fresh, largely because of the fact that it's an established fact that foods that are fresh are healthier, they contain more nutrients, and therefore that is why we encourage Barbadians on a whole, okay, to buy local foods, largely because of the fact that they are fresher and they are healthier. And that is what we are trying to get consumers hooked on.
AgroFest, the three-day agricultural, food and cultural fair, is celebrating its 10th year and will be held on February the 28th.
At Courts, every day we bring affordability, convenience, innovation, and style to over 1 million customers in 11 countries. From homes to communities, we are proud to make a difference in the lives of many across the region. Courts, bringing value home.
St. Lucia's Trade Union Federation has backed labor unions in Barbados who are pushing for alternatives to large-scale public sector retrenchment. The Federation said layoffs should be a last resort for any government since they could reduce the quality of life of its citizens.
When you send workers home, what you're doing is that you are creating a situation where homes are suffering. Because with these workers, if over 3,000 workers in Barbados who are going home, you must ask, how do they take care of the children? How do they pay their mortgages? How do they live?
And finally, monkeys at a zoo in Devon in southwest England have been banned from eating bananas. The reason? For the sake of their health. Zookeepers said the fruit grown for human consumption have far higher levels of sugar than the ones monkeys would eat in the wild, to the point that it's bad for their teeth and can lead to diabetes. The animals are now only allowed to have bananas as a special treat or when they need medication. Experts at Paynton Zoo said the sugar-free diet was working wonders for the animals, even making them calmer and more sociable. And that's Nation News for this Wednesday, January the 15th, 2014. I'm Bertrand Lance.